Hello world, it's Lee Kelson coming to you live from coming towards the end of day one, actually at FinTech Week in Hong Kong. We've had an amazing day here. It's been a great conference, and I'm joined here by Ken Lowe from Branding China. How are you, Ken?
Very good.
So Ken, how have you enjoyed the conference today?
I think it's just absolutely awesome how the FinTech Week has grown up so much since the first 3 years ago till today, with so many new vendors, so many new institutions, and a great panel of speakers.
I haven't had the benefit of seeing it 3 years ago, but obviously you have seen it, and
yes.
it's grown from your perspective quite dramatically since then.
Yes, very much. And like I said, a lot of the institutions coming into play now, a lot of the regulators that are taking a more active participation. It really shows commitment into fintech and especially blockchain.
And we'll get to blockchain in a minute because we want to talk about Branding China, obviously. Yeah. But one of the things I think is fantastic about this is the first cross-border FinTech conference in the world, where the East meets West. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I really think it's also with the whole China initiative with the Big Bay Area and the One Belt One Road. I mean, it's just really taking us to a new world where there's borderless.
Which is fantastic, and now the train goes straight under and 18 minutes into Shenzhen.
Yes, the new high-speed train. I mean, it's really bringing borders closer together.
It's fantastic. So. Tell us about Branding China.
Okay, so I'm Ken Lowe, CEO of Branding China, also known as BC Group. We are originally a marketing company, but these days we're going to synergize the business with blockchain technologies, and we become leaders in the space. The management team has experience from blockchain from our previous venture, which was ANX International.
So we hear a lot of hype around blockchain, and I think there's a bit of confusion about blockchain and what it means, and everyone seems to sort of have it inextricably linked to cryptocurrencies, which is not necessarily the case, right?
Yeah. I mean, actually, the cryptocurrencies and blockchain is the same thing. It's just a different usage or application of it. Right. The technology underlying is the same. But what I think where we are today is down to awareness. People are just starting to get familiar with the technology, understanding how it works, and then we're going to start seeing applications built on top of it. I know it sounds really messy right now, but that's why you have companies like BC Group here to help people cut through this mess and really put things into technology into real practice.
So. Okay, so you contradicted me there because I said they're not necessarily the same thing, and you're saying that blockchain and cryptocurrency, but blockchain is a distributed ledger. So for the uninitiated that don't know what that means, can you try and break that down?
Distributed ledger means basically the data is stored onto many nodes distributed all over the internet and all over servers all over the world, and that's just really like a database, but it's just distributed up there. And do we want to go back to cryptocurrencies again, or
no?
Okay.
We can stay with blockchain because I think when we talk about distributed ledger, we distribute it across. So how does that differ from the way that it currently operates? I
mean, today you look at a lot of the databases. You have a centralized database, and then you want to for redundancy purposes you maybe clone it. And you have a couple of clones, maybe in North America, Asia, Europe, and then you have you have to sync all of this stuff together. I mean, you can. The more redundancy, the more data centers you have, then the more secure it is. But the problem is it costs a lot of money, and because it's all private infrastructure. So with a distributed infrastructure on a public node, then you can save a lot of that and piggyback a lot off other people's servers. But the question always becomes, security. Is it secure? And this is why you have encryption and cryptography on top of that to really encrypt the data so that it's not shared and people cannot read the data.
Right. And okay, so I'll ask you the question: is it secure?
It's very secure. If you think about cryptocurrencies and blockchain, at its peak it reached 800 million USD market cap this year. I mean, $800 million worth market cap and billions of transactions. Right. And so far today, there has been no hacking of blockchain.
Right. Okay. And so Branding China, what obviously blockchain, but what do you do in that space?
I mean, so one of the things that we do best is managing digital wallets and helping people secure their digital wallets, and also creating tokens and also all sorts of related distributed technology related to that.
Okay, so let's talk about digital wallets. Yeah. So what's a digital wallet?
A digital wallet is an account where it holds a balance of some sort of value.
Right. So sort of people like my poor old mother who would do her head in. She's 84 years old. She doesn't understand that. It's like it's all the folding paper and so how do you sort of educate people that aren't from that generation, or that it's brand new to them, to have the idea of digital currencies or cryptocurrencies and managing it through a distributed ledger?
Actually, the digital ledger technology and all this is a back-end technology. And just like your 80-year-old grandmother, she understands a piece of paper. But I mean, that piece of paper was generated off a database. It was generated off a database somehow. So that, in a sense, is the digital wallet, right?
Okay.
So it's actually the same. And what we can do is actually take the digital wallet and print off paper copies, and it's the same thing, right?
Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
So even like the WeChat wallets, the Alibaba wallets, I mean, all that, you print off a paper statement, and again, to them, the user, it feels the same.
So one of the themes that we've been talking about today is financial inclusion. The number that's been bandied around is 2.5 billion people worldwide don't have access or are unbanked.
Yeah.
How do you see the technologies in the financial sector evolving in the future?
Okay, so one of the biggest issues with financial inclusion is a lot of the areas that they want to service is too far away or to cost too much, and the infrastructure or building, the banks or tellers or the connections that is very expensive, and this is why they're kind of excluded, right? But with the advantages of technology, mobile phones, digital wallets that sit on mobile phones. Yep. Now, a lot of even the unbanked or the developing countries, they have mobile phones. Telecom infrastructure, because it's wireless or even if they're wired, I mean, they've got some sort of connectivity. And with that, the wallet being on the phone, now they're able to do banking, because once you're able to get connectivity and a place to store it on a phone, now you've got ways to bank the unbanked.
Right. And I think that's a fantastic thing for globally for the world, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really unfair for the developed world to exclude the undeveloped world, and I don't think anybody purposely excludes them. No. But I think it's like I said, it really comes down to cost, and how do we drive those costs down? And that's another thing. The beauty about technology is the costs are continuously coming down. People costs keep going up. Technology's costs keep coming down, and with technology you can process a lot more transactions. And I think this is a good trend, and sooner or later everyone in the globe will be connected and have the services, basic services.
Yeah, and I think we take it for granted here that we have access to banks in the developed world, and when sometimes you say to somebody, well, there are 2 billion people that don't have a bank, they seem surprised by that. So let's talk about cryptos, right? Yeah. So people have been comparing it to the tulips, and we've seen the boom and the bust, and we've seen it go up over 20,000. Now we're back down to sort of some more moderate, manageable levels. Where do you see the future of cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency, I think, is what we're going to see more and more is government-backed cryptocurrencies, and whether they call it cryptocurrencies or they're going to just call it their currency. Yeah. Digital currency is here to stay, and what medium or what technology, it doesn't really matter. Right. And we already know, the U.S., China, even the Bank of England, they're already experimenting with cryptocurrencies or a blockchain-backed or blockchain currency. Yeah. So I think that is the future. I mean, it's governments and countries are going to be around, and they're going to need some way to run their fiscal policies, and I think this is where the future is going to be headed.
So I mean, it's a digital world, it's a global world, that's the fact of the matter, or there's no getting away from it. I tend to agree with you, I think they're here to stay, but I love the idea of getting away from this whole crypto thing, and let's just call it digital currencies, and get away from the hype.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is about control and the loss of control. I mean, and I don't think any government wants to have a loss of control of their currency, and I think that's where the problem is. But as with events like this, FinTech Week and FinTech and the regulators being here, they understand the technology now. They understand the applications of it, and now they're slowly coming to terms on how to develop their own cryptocurrencies or digital assets to evolve into the next stage.
Okay, so I've been getting the wind up here, but I've got one more question for you. One of the other big themes is the regulatory environment. Yeah. So how do you see that evolving?
I think it's very important for the regulators to be involved, because at the end of the day, people that the regulators create trust into the system, and that is very important for the industry to grow, and then for the adoption of blockchain and digital assets. And I think with the private sector, like BC Group, collaborating with the regulators, on the educating them on the technology, and then I think we can come up with regulation that's going to be good for everybody.
Yeah. Ken, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I can keep talking to you, but my crew's giving us the wind up here.
Okay.
But thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, and don't forget to subscribe and press that button to get more live from FinTech Hong Kong.